Time for Inside the Gamecocks, the show with Phil Mullinax and J.C. Sherbert.
So, how many of you would say you speak English fairly well, but with some difficulty?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
You play to win the game.
Now, let's take it away, J.C. and Phil.
All right. Happy Thursday, everyone. Inside the Gamecocks, the show. J.C. Sherbert, Phil Mullinax here with you. A little bit different format today because we got a guest at the top of the show. Former Gamecock offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach of the New York Guardians, championship level coach at Delaware Valley College. Hell of a ball coach, good guy, G.A. Mangus. Welcome into the show.
Good to be here, guys.
Morning.
Right off the top, you look around the SEC, GA, and back, I guess, five or so years ago, I sat there and thought, well, which one of these Big 12 offenses could you bring into this league and make it work? And I always kind of looked around and thought Art Briles' system at Baylor was good. And now you look in the league, and there's three schools kind of running variations of it, including his son Kendall this weekend for Arkansas. It's all kind of the same thing, but they're different. Heupel runs a little bit differently at Tennessee. Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin and the Levy influence there. And then Arkansas. Just from your standpoint, what are your thoughts about that offensive system and what it brings to the table and, how these guys have been able to be successful with it in this league so far?
Well, I think it's being a tempo guy, myself and kind of where my background comes from. I think it's all about the tempo and what they do. And, Kendall, they seem to run the ball a little bit more versus, maybe the quarterback run or just the tailback runs. It's all a variation, like you said. And I think that's everybody, but the tempo is what creates the problems. And, no matter where those tempo guys have been, it's created problems for anybody they play. And just because it's in the SEC, we went to some tempo things back in with Connor and going on 15 years ago now, almost. No huddle and some things. And again, I go back all the time and people ask me about what makes Coach Spurrier great. And he was always willing to change and was always looking to things that could help improve anything. And even an offense that was as successful as his for so long, in the Florida days, he knew that there had to be something changed and something different to be successul. And when we had a lot of tempo, we didn't go quite as fast as those guys do, where they do all the time. But that was something that was new here that we did and had a lot of success with that ourselves. So I think all those guys know what they're doing. They know how to call it fast. It's just a matter of their philosophy of whether they like to throw it, run it with the tailback, run it with the quarterback. And Arkansas, has that, KJ seems to be the total dual threat guy. And when those guys can do it and you do it fast, boy, it's a headache for defensive coordinators.
Yeah, it looks that way definitely with Arkansas. Tennessee, I think, turned their whole deal around last year just by going fast. And they go, that Pitt game this weekend, I'm really looking forward to it because I think there's going to be maybe 80 points scored up there at Heinz Field. I don't call it by the new name. I'm never going to. I'm just going to call it Heinz Field. Okay, so Coach Spurrier, you mentioned that about him being kind of innovative and willing to change. You were around down there in 96, right? When the Gators went to the Sugar Bowl, got in after losing to Florida State the first time. Doesn't the story go that he was willing to get in the shotgun all of a sudden, and that was kind of the difference in that ball game when Florida won the national title?
It was, they had a great defense, and the game a month before, a lot of people, of course, young people wouldn't even probably remember it, but that was the back-to-back games in a month, and played them again for the national title and in New Orleans, and the way some things worked out back before the playoffs and all that thing, some things had to happen, and Jake the Snake Plummer, who young people have no idea who that is, but they pulled an upset. Pulled an upset, and the next thing you knew, we were playing for the national title. against Florida State, and the previous game we had gotten beaten a close one, but a lot of their pressure was great. They had great defensive pressure and great defensive teams back in those days. I mean, every year they were something, and that just Danny was taking a lot of shots and a lot of hits, and a month later, put in that shotgun and didn't change the offense, just kind of took it out of the gun, and that was kind of the first time really that coach had done it, and people made a big deal about it because it got in the shotgun. And 1996, now it's amazing. Now 25 years later, now if you go under center, it's like, what are you doing? What is that? You can't go out taking a knee out of the shotgun, which is like a pet peeve of mine. I'm not going to lose 4 yards on total offense because I take a knee
out of the shotgun.
But yeah, it happened, and it was a good thing, and it led to obviously a really good night for the Gators, I think.
Definitely, yeah, it was about 52-20 down there in New Orleans, and that was a good moment. I mean, I kind of pulled for Florida the previous year when they played Nebraska, and I was shocked at that game. I mean, I think everybody was, but. Spurrier always said that was probably one of the best teams he ever coached against, that Nebraska game. And
yeah, I would say the same. I mean, that's one of the great football teams in college history.
I mean,
there's no doubt about that. They were tremendous.
Exactly. Okay, so you were able to coach at South Carolina, Stephen Garcia. You got there and you had Stephen 09. Then it went to Connor and then Dylan Thompson. All those guys are decorated, right? Do you think that maybe Stephen Garcia, because I looked it up, I think sometimes the fans, and this is nothing against Connor or Dylan. I mean, those guys' names are on the stadium, right? Stephen went 4-1 against Clemson in Georgia. And that one game he lost, I remember you guys were driving, firing at the end zone at the end down in Athens. He won the East. I'll never forget that night in Gainesville when 36-14. You think maybe sometimes Stephen is a little underrated considering – right after him, there was Connor, who rarely lost, rarely threw an interception and all that. And then Dylan set the single season record in 2014. Do you think maybe sometimes like Stephen isn't as maybe celebrated as he should be? I mean, just based on, forget the off the field stuff, just based on wins and accomplishments and, what he did.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's anything. And you look at life when there's so many in the world we live in, where distractions tend to kind of take away sometimes from the truth, right? And the truth is that Stephen Garcia was a really good player for us. That got better, won some big games. He was tough. He was as good as and great as Connor was as a dual threat player. Stephen had some dual threat as well. He just ran differently. He was packing 235 back in those days, and ask safety there at Florida.
Will Hill will never forget Stephen Garcia.
Will Hill, what he thinks of that 235 packing on the goal line. And so, I think that's kind of what happens. And then time, there's been, and we had such great years and finished in the top 10 3 straight years. And Connor was such a great leader and a great player and a great, but there wasn't a lot of distractions, right? Everything was football and all anybody had to talk about with Connor was football. And so, I think that's part of it, but Stephen's very comfortable with where he's at. I stay in touch with all those guys, play golf with Connor, and have stayed in touch with the other guys quite a bit, and he's very comfortable with where he's at, where he's at, and what people think because he doesn't care. He really doesn't. And but he was a really good player, and I think when people go back and watch some of those games, I mean, forget Alabama. Alabama was great, but that night in the Swamp, he played really, really well and had some critical third down conversion plays and with people running at him. And I think he deserves everything he gets.
Yeah, I was just thinking like that. And so toward the end, you got Perry Orth, and you guys when Sean took over for the 6 games there at the end. I always tell everybody, like, that team appeared to be dead in the water before Coach Spurrier, retired or resigned or whatever. But you guys somehow, I mean, and I know the Citadel aside, right? You guys played Texas A&M off their feet, Tennessee off their feet. That Clemson game, bad call. Hey, there's my fiance telling you hello, GA.
Hey,
he's a big fan. She's a big fan. And really, I thought despite the record, that team got better as the season went on with Perry at quarterback and the offense. And what was kind of the secret there? Because it wasn't an offense that was scoring and going up and down the field, but by the end there, you guys went up and down the field on the national runners up, and Debo Samuel had a breakout game. Jarrell Adams turned into a terrific target. What was kind of the secret there? Because there's lots to talk about Sean Elliott, obviously, because he coached a game in Columbia Saturday, and he's coaching a game in Atlanta this weekend. A lot of Gamecocks wanted to win. But what was that secret for that team? Because that team really, I think, with the way they played, kind of laid the groundwork for Will coming in and eking out that bowl season in 2016.
Yeah, we had a lot. I'd tell people this when they a lot about those kids. The players get all the credit for that. They were, that was a tough situation, and anybody that's ever coached in those situations, when you have a firing or what, not in this case, but in just any kind of situation happen where you kind of have you're a lame duck situation. It happens every year in pro football, college football, and all the way down. And it's a tough deal. It's a tough deal for coaches. It's a tough deal for players. I think everybody handled it very well, very professionally. But most importantly, the players, they kept grinding, they kept playing. And I think that had been from the precedent had been set over the past few years where we had won, and that was the standard. Of winning and competing and having a chance to compete for the SEC championship, which, for a 4-year run, we were right there. A little break here or there, or a bad break that went against us here or there, or whatever. Who knows what those could have turned into? But I think those kids had been there, done that. Perry, Perry took it upon himself. Perry was a kind of a quiet, confident kid. Underneath that look, he was a competitor, and those the A&M game was, he ran for almost 100 yards, scored and ran a touchdown down there. We implemented some stuff, a lot of tempo, those over those last 6 games, and he played. Hayden Hurst came out, all of a sudden he got a couple of big long drag routes that went big, and he got his coming out party, and Jarrell, we had really good tight ends. Everybody, contrary to some of the 6 months after that when the cupboard was bare, I dare to differ on that. I don't think it was quite as bare as some people think, but we played. They gave everything they could give, and some of those teams were just, we just came up a little short in those. And obviously the Citadel game, that after that Florida game, it was, I think the writing was on the wall of everything, what was going on. That was real tough on the kids, but then to turn around and battle back and would have loved to have had about 3.5 or 4 more minutes on that last one. Because there was some tight, whats running around that ballpark that were not wearing garnet and black.
Yeah, that was a heck of a game. I remember I actually left early and went to the Pizza Man on Rosewood, and went with my ex-girlfriend. She was a Clemson fan, so I had to get out of there. Right, I was like, I got it. And we had terrible seats. We were like right under, back in near the corner of the end zone, under a. Yeah, it was bad. And then that Perry run at Texas A&M, I always tell the story. I was in a bar in Greenville watching it. It was a noon kickoff. So, and I sat there. I answered it. Perry goes around the edge, right? I answered a text. I took a sip of beer. I looked up at the TV. He's still running. I looked around, took another sip of beer, and looking at my phone again, and he's still running. It was like time-wise, it was the longest 70-yard run in the history of college football, only to be outdone by Damani Staley's pick six at East Carolina last year. But that was something else. I'll never forget that play as long as I live. So South Carolina, Spencer Rattler, you play quarterback, you coach quarterbacks, you know quarterbacks. Your assessment of him and kind of his first outing for the Gamecocks the other night. Certainly the arm talent's there, and what do you think the keys are for him to kind of keep progressing and taking it to the next level?
Well, it's a new system. It's a new deal. I mean, I think everybody's well aware of Spencer and his talent level. A couple of years ago, I mean, he was in the short list of Heisman candidates, at one time in his career there at Oklahoma. So, he's got talent, was a, highly recruited, highly decorated high school player coming out and had some great moments at Oklahoma. And coming in here, that gets his feet wet. It's a new league. It's going to be different. Anybody that has coming, I think with this portal, these guys that are coming in from these other leagues, I think they get eyes wide open pretty quickly, realizing the speed difference, and most importantly, as an offensive player, that those guys up front are just a little bit different in the SEC, and that's just the way it is. And anybody that denies that across the country, I know they get sick and tired of SEC bias and all that stuff from us that live down here, us country folk in the South. But it's a fact. It's a fact. And someone, myself, who's coached all over the country and seen that and had been in the league, out of the league as a player, a coach. That's the difference. That's where it really differs, and that's an adjustment period for anybody that's coming in from outside. And I think he's more than capable of doing that. And this week will be the first SEC test. Last week I just think was a whole brand new deal. Those first games you just never know what's going to happen with those after the whole year. So I wouldn't put too much on that. I think this will be the litmus test this weekend. It'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, your first year in 2009, and I haven't mentioned this yet, but your first year in 2009, you guys scored 7 points at NC State.
Yeah.
And the next weekend lit Georgia like a Christmas tree. It was 37 points, and you fired, like I said, fired at the end zone at the end to win.
Yeah, and that was Stephen was. I don't want to say switching systems because our passing game was predominant, but we had gone no huddle. There was just a lot of newness to it, and they had a pretty good quarterback themselves up there in Raleigh at that time. And that was one of those first games you just wanted to get through it, and we got through it, and you come out victorious. And I think when that happens, something like that happens, I think that's when you hear the old cliche. I'm not huge on the cliche because everybody's always says that, you get better but before week 1 and week 2, you just get better all year. Our teams, those teams we had with Connor and Steven starting it, and Connor and Dylan, we got better as the season went, especially those 3 years. Our best football was in November. And I think as a coach, I know Coach Spurrier always preached that. And I think if you asked him, he would be very proud of that. We won the bowl games, we won the big games in November, and got better. And I think that's all you want to do. So you'd like to get better all season. But if you escape that week 1, that normally that kind of takes the pressure off a little bit. Have a good week of practice, and you come out and play really well. And we just came up. We played really well compared to what we did again at NC State the next week. So
definitely, yeah, that was something else. That 2009 season was actually laid some groundwork there. Jamie Bradford says hello here on the Nana Sports chat box to you, GA. He'd be mad at me. He'd be mad at me if I didn't put it up. Yeah. So that's good. A lot of respect around Gamecock land for you. So you recruited the Northeast at South Carolina with success. On my birthday last year, I'm sitting there watching the Bears and the Seahawks, and where I live, the Bears are huge, right?
Yep.
And I see a guy catch a 4th down winning touchdown. It's Damiere Byrd. going up in traffic and getting it, man. You recruited the Northeast with success at South Carolina. This staff looks like they're doing it, especially around the DMV, Delaware, up into Pennsylvania. In your experience up there, selling the University of South Carolina, which you did with success, what's the key up there to doing it and to making things happen? Because that's been a big storyline with the current staff recruiting with Pete Limbo going up there and kind of laying some tracks.
Well, I think first and foremost, recruiting is and always will be about relationships. No matter what, NIL, portal, all these new terms and new things. I know myself, who knows what the next 15, 20 years will bring in anybody's career. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, much less 20 years. But I would, with all the stuff, it's always about relationships with high school coaches, parents, families, kids. I still think the best recruiters and your best teams, if that is your philosophy, if high school coaches and the player's family, immediate family that's the relationship built, then those kids are going to build the relationships in the locker room, which is going to have the team that you need to have when you go out on the field to win. And that's what our team in those years was very close. They were very close. They all did everything together all the time. And I think that was because that was our philosophy in recruiting and everybody was on the same page of that. And so the relationships were built. And in the Northeast, when I first went up there, I was the first time I crossed the Mason-Dixon line in my life was 1994. I'd never been there. I didn't know anything about the damn place. I thought New Jersey was New York City. The whole place was New York City. Little did I know that Demir Bird was from the blueberry capital of the world in South Jersey. There's nothing but farmland. And I got Bill Cubitt was my head coach at Widener University, and he gave me a map. Back in those days, we didn't have phones. We didn't have maps and all that. He gave me a map. I had a map and said, "Here, you have the state of New Jersey." And I took me 2 weeks to figure out you couldn't make a left-hand turn. You had to take jug handles. I didn't know what a jug handle was. Never heard of it. And 26 years old and didn't know what a damn jug handle was. But I got to know those people. And again, they're no different than us down here. You just have to it takes a little bit longer to know them. Trust me, my wife's one of them. And you once you do and you get under that, we're all the same. But the relationships build up there in the 11 years that I coached at Widener or Sinus College and the head coach at Delaware Valley. I made a lot of relationships. I know a lot of people. I still play a lot of golf up there. I go up there. My wife's family's from up there. And I got to know Pete Limbo back in those days. He was at Lehigh back in those days when I was coaching, and we talked some ball together. They went to Elon, and he came down to South Carolina when I was there, and brought his staff, and they came down and spent some time with us in spring. So he knows all those people from his connections up there in Lehigh Valley. And as we know, there's good players. You're not going to make a living off of it at South Carolina, but you still have kids. My niece just graduated from Philadelphia. She fell in love with the place when we were coaching here. And my family came down. She fell in love with it when she was 10 years old, called South Carolina her dream school. And she graduated in May. So that tells you what winning and having a good time in those years did for little 10-year-olds at the time. It made quite an impression. So you can get good players down here from that area. They like it. And I think that's been proven here over the last handful of years.
All right, final question here with GA Mangus here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. All right, Barry Odom's defense, like it's a 3-2-6, I guess. I'm kind of confused about it. I know that in the past with you guys' offense, when teams drop a lot of defensive players, it can be problematic for your passing game. How do you counteract that?
Well, first and foremost, you got to run the ball. You got to prove you can run the ball. In my opinion, if they're going to drop 8, that's typically through the years. It's been what? It's a long yardage. You normally see it on third long, and they want to drop 8. What they've done now with these different kinds now, these dime packages, what have you, with all these kids that are hybrid safety types, they can disguise it because they all have a skill set to be able to sometimes cover, sometimes blitz, sometimes in the run fit, sometimes not in the run fit. And it's it can be difficult to figure out, but if you can run the football and make sure that they have those guys committed, That's kind of the a la what Iowa State's been doing is a little bit of a version of it. They have, I call it an umbrella coverage, and then who's in the fit, who's not in the fit, in the run fit. So it presents some challenges, and it'll be interesting to see, how they attack it this week and what they come up with. It's not. I think it's a good defense mainly because it's different. It's kind of like anybody else back in the day when everybody played 4 down. I was a 3-4 guy. I went out to the Pittsburgh Steelers and learned the Pittsburgh Steeler fire zone 3-4 because nobody in our league played 3-4. So I wanted to be the week that everybody had to play us. They had to adjust and scheme up against a 3-4 that they didn't see every other week. So I think right now this deal is something that you don't see weekly, and it makes you work extra hours. So we'll see how it works out. It's always fun to watch it as a coach. I always enjoy to see the chess match and how it's figured out or not figured out over a week.
All right. That's a great answer. Thanks so much for joining us, GA. And I hope that this isn't the last time, and hope you next time you play golf, you shoot really well, man.
It'll be tomorrow. I appreciate it.
Hey, take care, Coach.
Yeah, anytime, guys. Y'all have fun. See you, man.
Take care, man. GA Mangus joining Inside the Gamecocks, the show. I could talk ball with him all day.
Right.
And all that. But certainly a good guest here. But we got another one coming right up. Nana's Porch Chat Boxers and I Help Consulting Mailbaggers. We're going to get to you second hour. We're going to be extremely interactive here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. On a Thursday, Phil Mullinax, JC Sherbert, Chris Phillips from the Spurs Up Show coming up next on the show after these messages.
Just as your State Farm agent combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates, you can combine your home, auto, life, or small business insurance with Tony Pope State Farm Insurance today. And guess what you'll get? That's right, even more good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. In fact, Tony Pope State Farm is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. Once again, Tony Pope State Farm will help you mix and match perfectly. Call 843-851-2222 or visit TonyPope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
If you're a listener, I feel strongly that if you're in the upstate and are in need of real estate services, Cindy Searfoss is your go-to person. Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane can help you with any of your realty needs right there in the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Oconee, Pickens, wherever you are. Cindy can help you with that. She's married to a diehard Gamecock fan, has been in the upstate for more than 35 years. Right there in my hometown of Spartanburg, Daniel Morgan Avenue. Contact Cindy, 864-414-5271, or email csearfoss, CSEARFOSS, at cbcaine.com, CBCAINE. That's Cindy Searfoss, a proud sponsor of the Inside the Gamecocks podcast. Check her out. We've already gotten several emails from listeners that are very impressed with her professionalism and her ability to help you with your real estate needs. 864-414-5271, Cindy Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. I Help Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and I Help Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Attention golfers of all ages and skill sets. Former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor will be a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina very, very soon. You want to take advantage of this opportunity. If you're like me and you got to get a whole lot better at golf, or even if you're looking to refine your swing, Meredith is the person you need to go to. She's competing in her final USGA Mid-Amateur Tournament this summer before going full-time into teaching and coaching individuals. If you're in South Carolina, Meredith will be conducting in-person golf lessons at the Country Club of Lexington, half-hour, hour, on course. She'll play 9 or 18 with you. If you're out of state, though, this is really exciting. She'll be conducting virtual lessons. You can send in your swing for her expert analysis. Also, in November, she'll launch an online course with video instruction for all ages and skill levels. Meredith has 20-plus years of knowledge, former SEC golfer, all of that. So contact her on Twitter at MERTaylor, at MERTAYLOR, or go to McKellarEnterprises.org. McKellar is spelled MCKELLAR, Enterprises.org. Her email's on the website, so you can connect with her for any other questions. Go get your golf game in order. Take advantage of Meredith Taylor and her services.
Hey, Mo Cowboy here from the Carolina Gamecocks. You're listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show with JC and Phil.
All right. Thanks, Mo.
All right.
Oh, and shout out to Meredith, who nailed her score prediction last week. Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to Inside the Guest. For
am I the only one having trouble here?
No, you're not. I think it's JC. It's all on JC, Chris. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well.
We'll let JC's internet catch up here.
Yeah, that's right.
We call you already know this, and I've told JC this. We call this the Muschamp hackers, and that's what my people call it when the mic or the internet or the audio whatever messes up. So.
Yeah, the Muschamp gremlins. Yeah,
Muschamp hackers. Yeah, we know of them very well. They follow me around. It seems.
That's right. So. That's right. Well, just to clear something up, Chris, we've had some folks jump into the chat box talking about what Stephen Garcia said this week on your show. But can you explain that a little bit for those of us who didn't hear it?
I'm assuming they're talking in regards to the offensive line. Is that correct?
Yeah, that and I think some people were thinking he was throwing a bit of shade on Spencer, even though I didn't hear it that way.
No, I mean, we asked him to give his honest assessment of the entire team's play, and of course he's going to talk quarterback play as well, which make a lot of sense. But in regards to the offensive line, I thought he actually defended the offensive line and said, I don't feel like they should be getting all the blame. There's been a lot of chatter from talking heads, fans, everybody around that has been heaping all of the criticism on the line. And I thought Stephen was very defensive of the offensive line and just said, it goes beyond them, talked about the perimeter blocking and just simply put the execution, it being week one, et cetera, et cetera. So he felt like they were getting a little too much blame. In regards to Spencer Rattler, I mean, no, I didn't think anything Stephen said was over the top or overly critical. I think he just said that, he noticed in that first game, Spencer saw the rush looking to run. He got sort of the happy feet is how I translated it. And I don't think that was something he was saying that's something he's going to do all season, but just in that individual game, he said that, he saw the rush. He looked to run immediately instead of maybe keeping the eyes downfield a little bit longer or moving up in the pocket. And, he admitted it's something he did. And we all watched Stephen play and we all remember exactly when he did that. So, yeah, I don't think that I don't think it was anything that he was like throwing shade at Spencer Rattler. I think just giving his honest assessment. And I thought Stephen did a great job of breaking the game down and everything. It was only complimentary of him, and I think he feels like that. Rattler's primed to have a big year. So
yeah, look, so that kind of narrative got out. I kind of dismissed it yesterday. I didn't know Stephen had said it. Had I known that, that makes total sense in the world. I tend to agree with his assessment. We have some amateur, like an amateur sleuth as an amateur detective. We have some amateur offensive coordinators on my message board. And I thought that's where it come from. So Jamie Bradford and I were like, no, they're like, Stephen said it on the Spurs Up show. I'm like, oh man, well, that makes sense. Because Coach Spurrier, and we just had Mangus on, we should have asked him about it. If you didn't, all right. So in 2013, he almost benched Connor Shaw, right? Because Connor wouldn't stay in the pocket and throw.
Yeah.
I mean, so for coaches that enjoy, I understand Steven probably was preached it all over and over, sit in the pocket. And Steven Garcia, to his credit, probably sat in the pocket and took a shot after shot after shot more than maybe any other quarterback I've seen here.
Yeah.
And was just, tough as nails.
Yeah. And like I said, he admitted, like, I was the same way, especially, he also mentioned, first game at Williams-Brice Stadium, the new lights, like the emotions are going. And so the tendency is everything's moving a little bit quicker than it normally would. And so you see the rush and you just immediately take off. And so, I mean, again, though, I thought he was, he gave credit to that fact for Spencer Rattler, but, he did mention that, you go back and watch the tape and maybe he took off a little quick. Maybe he got out of the pocket. But, the beautiful thing about Rattler is we all saw he's got that elite arm talent. And, I mean, that was one of my biggest takeaways of Saturday night against Georgia State was that on the run, on the move. And maybe they should get him out of the pocket more intentionally, especially if the offensive line continues to struggle, move him around and get creative because he's obviously shown, I mean, he can put the ball wherever he wants, it seems like, on the run. You know what I mean? So, no, I thought Steven, Steven's a guy, listen, he's not going to hold back. And I highly suggest people to tune in every Monday because, I told Garcia, he asked me after the show, I don't think he'll mind me saying this, because I think it's a scenario. He doesn't want to be too tough on the guys, but I told him, let it rip. I mean, you see what you see, let it go. You know what I mean? You're just talking ball. Yeah. So, but I didn't think in any way he was, talking down on Rattler, just what he saw in the game Saturday. And again, I think if anything, he just, we all feel like him on the run and, again, getting Rattler on the move could actually be a benefit for the offense. So, again, I highly suggest people, instead of, when we upload the entire Steven Garcia conversation to YouTube.
Yeah, go check it out.
The show. Yeah, go check it out. Go listen to what he has to say. And I put up as many clips as I can from the conversation, but obviously there's so many tidbits. I'm not going to be able to put up a clip of everything, but no, I highly suggest checking it out. I mean, Steven did a great job of going in depth, and we'll do that every single week. And that's obviously one of the biggest reasons I'm excited to get him, to have him on the airwaves, is to get his perspective, obviously being in that exact position that Rattler's in.
There's nobody more qualified, really,
right,
Chris. I mean, I'll just go right. I mean, I don't, even if I didn't see what he saw, and I didn't, I see where he's coming from now, but I mean, I'd probably just shut up if, me personally, I would never, somebody that's done it to me. Yeah. It has far more credibility than somebody like myself.
And Steven's a guy too that when he speaks on it, he's not a guy that's coming from a vantage point of, well, I'm smarter than you. I played the game. Like, he's just giving his honest assessment. I mean, he went out of his way to say many times, because I asked him about scheme and the offense. He's like, listen, I'm not in the meeting room. I'm not in the huddle. Like, I don't know exactly what's being said, but he's doing what we all can do, which is give our best assessment possible from the vantage point that we have. So, all
right, tell our listeners what time he comes on Mondays on your show.
Yeah, so Steven on Mondays is 12:15 to 12:45 or 12:50 typically. Somewhere in that time range. It's in our first hour. There might be some days where Steven has to come on at 12:30 or what have you because he has quarterback training or whatever, but it's in that first hour. So 12:15 to 12:45 is the time we have scheduled. But yeah, it's every single Monday, man. Like I said, it's obviously it's golden content because it's Steven Garcia we're talking about, but it's really cool to get his assessment breakdown of everything, especially the quarterback position.
I've watched him coach young quarterbacks too. He is outstanding at that. Some people, I mean, Gamecock fans probably don't even realize that's a big part of his life is helping young people now, and that gets lost about it. We talked to Mangus because, I was like, is Steven underrated? With all those quarterbacks he coached, and he just had nothing but great things to say. And he said, in time, things will happen good. Anyway, okay, so looking to Saturday, Chris. Arkansas is going to be a big challenge. I feel like, kind of looking at it because you have to go with what you see. I always believe in any kind of football game, there's scenarios. There's a scenario here where Carolina can go out there, win the game, play well. There's a scenario here where they don't. But you kind of got to look at what you see. Arkansas 10-4 in their last 14. Sam Pittman's done a tremendous job. They've knocked off everybody from Texas A&M to Texas to Penn State.
They had a great year. They had a great year last year. I was looking at it. They won all three of their trophy games, the Outback Bowl. They had a magical year too under Pittman.
Yeah. So that was a great year. They've started off well. Their program, I think. totality wise, you kind of look at it, may be in a different spot than Carolina's, but I sort of look at the matchups, and I do think, if South Carolina can get some semblance of a run game going, I think there's going to be some opportunity down the field in the vertical passing game. I think that's, and it's it goes kind of hand in hand. Maybe you go out and you pass to set up the run, whatever you have to do if you're Marcus Satterfield and the offense. I think there's going to be some opportunity. The question is, will they do it?
I was just laughing. I didn't mean to, but I was just laughing because I'm like, will we ever get to a point where it's like with South Carolina football, it's just, can we run the ball? I feel like I go into every game asking that question. But no, seriously, you look at this game, and I don't know if you saw this stat too. I posted this last night, but you talk about the numbers and what they say about the Arkansas-South Carolina matchup. How about the Gamecocks, since they joined the league, have faced a ranked SEC West opponent on the road 14 times. So ranked SEC West on the road 14 times. Carolina's 1-13 in those games. Their win came against Mississippi State in 2001. I think that was the game that opened up college football after 9/11.
Right after 9/11,
yep. Yeah, and Arkansas, of course, is ranked 16th this week. Not that it means a whole lot, but it's just an interesting tidbit. I do look at Carolina and Arkansas and sort of, JC, like you mentioned, sort of similar programs. They've got coaches that I think everybody feels like are both really great cultural fits, great fits for their school. And it feels like two programs that while Carolina's in year 2, Arkansas in year 3 of their coach, feels like they're sort of on these upward trajectories. And this is a big game to spark their 2022 season. Again, you look at what Arkansas did last year. And I said many times this preseason that South Carolina this year is trying to be what Arkansas was last year, right? Like that big time surprise team and breaks a couple of streaks, right? Some negative losing streaks that we have on the schedule. You look back at that game, though, you look at this weekend and look back at what Arkansas did. Like you said, JC, all we can do is go off what we see. I think certainly you look first, they're susceptible to the pass game, and that maybe that is their weakness. You can attack, giving up 325 passing yards to Ben Bryant of Cincinnati. They had 113 on the ground, but I will be really interested to see offensively how they attack this. Again, I know we've talked offensive line all week long, and most certainly we've had plenty of reason to, right? Because if you don't block, you just don't have a chance to win. Bottom line, that offensive line performance. And with that being said, I think they'll play better. I do believe in the whole week 1 to week 2 improvement. How much better does it look? How much better does it get? How much do you improve? I think that's the major question, but I think there will be improvement there. From people I've talked to behind the scenes, it sounds like they want to go a little bit more what the offensive scheme was in the bowl game, whatever that means. I don't know if that means we see more Dak Joyner at quarterback, but I think moving Spencer in the pocket for sure. I do agree with you. I think the pass game to open up the run game is probably going to be the way to go. Arkansas, listen, you know what you're going to get. They're going to be very physical at the point of attack. I talked about it over the summer. I didn't love the matchup because you look on the other side, Arkansas, 4 or 5 guys in the offensive line back. KJ Jefferson's an absolute freak. I think one of the most intriguing matchups is how does Clayton White attack him? You know what I mean? What do you want to take away? You've got a secondary that was top 10 in the country in pass defense last year. You got a run defense that while I feel like we left Georgia State and said they looked better as the game went, the defensive line took over. I don't know that I leave Georgia State as confident as some others in regards to, just the run defense is just night and day better than last year. You still gave up 200 on the ground. So, which, again, I know a lot of that came late, came in the first drive, but the numbers are what the numbers are. So the way they attack him, I think you obviously have to make him one-dimensional, but it's a really intriguing game. And I think Vegas reflects that as well with the line movement. And I do look at this game as a toss-up. The greatest concern, obviously, and we're getting so tired of talking about it, but it's just the offensive line play and the line of scrimmage as a whole.
Blocking in general, like on the perimeter, Phil, I thought, that's something that kind of got overlooked.
Yeah.
But that kind of stuff, too, drives me crazy because I'm like, it gets back to the whole debate. And I'm going to kind of table that debate for a while just to kind of let the season play out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, JC, I was gonna say, JC, to your point, because not to cut you off, but I've been so hard on the offensive line this week, and I stand by everything I've said. I just want to go out. Say that. But to your point, after going back and watching some of the tape, if you will, the highlights, the perimeter blocking has to get better too.
Yeah.
There were a lot of those screens out there that could have been at minimum 8, 10, 15-yard gainers, and you had a running back and a receiver just completely whiff on the guys. And it's like, O-line can't do nothing about that. Like, we got to get better blocking across the board, So.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't know. Mentally, like here's where I'm at with the offense, and it's just maybe me. And sometimes I get mental, right? It's like when you started hearing about the Rams all summer, right? Spencer Rattler said it. I don't know if Sat said it or not, but so I read up. What does Sean McVay's offense entail? And they don't sign guys that can't block at receiver. So obviously blocking receivers, are part of that scheme. And it just kind of rattled me a little bit because I'm like, well, some in college ball, like the Rams can go sign guys, right? And when the Rams are pulling a guard 5 yards to block an end, that's a guy that runs 4.7 that was an All-American at Iowa or Michigan. Go kicking out to get that guy that's a multimillionaire and gets paid to play the game. Right. The guys at South Carolina are college kids. And so I think, but that just may be me. We'll let it play out and all that. I'm not ready to toss in the toss in the hat on the scheme just yet. But there were some concerns there about that. But look, I mean, perimeter blocking in any offense is important. I mean, Coach Spurrier used to preach it. He just block. I
mean, you mentioned that because it's funny. Like a lot of those plays we ran Saturday night, those screens at the outside. Like I remember when Spurrier was there running those plays, and we would just it felt like steal 8, 10, 12 yards. But you got to have the blocking there. Yeah. Those plays look really good when guys block. You know what I mean? Yeah. They look atrocious when they don't. So, I think the positive, obviously, and we talked about this all preseason, so this isn't some like earth-shattering news. The positive is if the blocking gets better across the board and the offensive line, as I talked about all preseason, if they're just average, the weapons are there. Like the weapons are there to expose this Arkansas secondary. They're there, right? You got the quarterback to do it. You could argue you still have the best quarterback in this game. I know everybody loves KJ Jefferson, and I think he's a great player too, but if Spencer Rattler's playing to his capabilities, you could argue South Carolina yet again is going to have the best quarterback in this game. That gives you a chance alone. So you got the weapons, but when you don't have that blocking up front, it just throws everything out of sync. And obviously it's Satterfield's job, I agree, to figure that out and put the pieces in place to make it work.
Chris, Sam Pittman said earlier this week, scouting South Carolina's defense on film, that he praised the linebacker play. I thought Saturday night, my biggest takeaway on defense in terms of what's gotten better would have to be linebackers. I thought Mokaba played well. I think Dabo Williams at some point could supplant Brad Johnson because he's always been very instinctive. He just had to learn how to, at linebacker, if you get your eyes wrong and you take false steps, you're going to get out of position, and it doesn't matter how fast you are. But he's playing fast. I thought Debo had some really big plays. Brad played well. Sherrod Green's coming back this week. Your take on the linebackers after watching Saturday night, and do you agree with Sam Pittman that this is a position that's all of a sudden a position of strength?
Yeah, I mean, after week one, for sure, I agree with you, JC. I love what I saw from those guys, just flying around the football again. Debo Williams, I thought out of that group, impressed maybe the most. I mean, I don't want to be unfair to the other guys, but it seemed like he was in on a lot of different plays and played with that tenacity, you want to see from that position. Brad Johnson, obviously really high on your guy, Mo Kaba. Again, I thought the linebackers as a whole looked good. And then again, that's really without, did Sherrod Green take a snap against Georgia State? No, he didn't play. He's been a little banged up. Right. So, and I'm sure they're being careful with him, obviously, because of last year and everything else, but now you get him back. So, it is game one, just like we don't want to draw conclusions negatively. I guess we won't draw them positively, but it was an encouraging sign, if nothing else, from a unit that, has been a mixed bag and has sort of struggled over the last couple of years. Now, I like what I saw definitely in regards to athleticism from those guys, and again, the tenacity which they played with, and it just felt like they were flying around the football all night in on a lot of plays. So now I agree with you guys, man. I was very happy with the performance of the linebackers, and you're going to need them again this weekend because, again, Arkansas physicality. They got Rocket Sanders back there in the backfield.
Oh, man.
Trey Knox. I mean, there's a lot of weapons on the Arkansas side to account for. So they're going to need to play well again.
Yeah, Trey Knox, I think, is a freak. He's a receiver that they kind of built into a tight end. I think it was 205. They got him at 245. Yeah. I thought, man, because I think their receiving core has a lot of names that haven't always produced. The Hasselwoods, the Warren Thompsons. And I remember Rocket Sanders was a receiver recruit and they turned him into a running back. So creativity on the part of Kendall Browse and Arkansas.
Yeah, they're really big on the outside too, right? I mean, you're talking about Knox 6'5", Hazelwood 6'3", Thompson 6'3", like. They got some big body dudes on that offense. So
and that that can happen.
Sanders even at running back 6'2", 227. So he's a and I mean boy. I think what I hate the most about him is he's rocking that number 5, and that just gives me nightmares.
Oh my god!
Look at 5 and a Razorback uniform. Oh my god!
Aaron McFadden and Matt Jones, please, Matt Jones.
Oh my god!
Keep them away from me. Oh my gosh, those guys were unbelievable.
Yeah.
So South Carolina, you said before it's a pick. I'm wrapping up with Chris Phillips from the Spurs Up Show, by the way. I'll be on the Spurs Up Show here in about an hour and 15, so you can catch me there. You said it's a pick 'em. I think it could. I mean, I think player for player. I mean, Arkansas doesn't have a huge talent advantage over South Carolina. I mean, if anything, the Gamecocks may have more future NFL players on their roster than the Razorbacks, but. How do you kind of see it playing out? Do you buy into the week 1 to week 2 thing? And we pointed out in 2009, Stephen Garcia's first year as a full-time starter with G.A. Mangus, Carolina scores 7 on the road against Russell Wilson and NC State. Comes back the next week, lights Georgia on fire, lost the game, but lost 41-37 down in Athens and went up and down the field. So, things can change week to week.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's why we love college football, right? I was talking with a buddy about this late last night, and why we love it is I'm like, we're having this conversation right now. A week from right now, our conversation, it could be completely different. Right? Like you said, going back to 2009, I mean, I go back to 2007 when you give up 270 or 280 against Louisiana Lafayette in week 1, and then you shut down Georgia and beat them in Athens, right? You just never know. I do believe in the week 1 to week 2 improvement. What scares me, though, about the offensive line specifically is everybody wants to say, well, it was week 1. But for those guys, it doesn't feel like it was because it's the same guys as last year. Like, this isn't their first rodeo. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, if you don't have it figured out by now, when is the light bulb moment? You're telling me the light bulb moment's going into SEC play against, a quality SEC defensive front? Let me say this. When I say it's a toss-up, I mean, I do look at this game as, when I looked in the preseason, as one of the toss-ups on this schedule. I mean, I am leaning the Arkansas way, and I will, lock in a score prediction on my show tomorrow. And, spoiler, I'm going to pick Arkansas to win the game. I'll just go out there and say that. I don't know many folks that will be picking the Gamecocks just because of what you saw in week 1. You got to go off of what you saw, which is the problems up front. And I said it over the summer that I hated the matchup. I picked Arkansas to win over the summer 31-24. I didn't see anything in week 1 that would make me feel any more confident about actually, I'm going to go back on that. And so the score will not be the same. I'm probably leaning the Arkansas way, though, when the spread came out at 11.5, dropping down to 7.5, now back up to 9. I do see it sort of probably being close to that margin. I think this could be a really close game. And it wouldn't shock me if the Gamecocks won the ball game. It really wouldn't, because I believe in Clayton White defensively. They'll have a good plan. Special teams is going to be special teams, beamer ball. It's just all about offensively. Can you get enough of a push? Can you establish any semblance of a run game and give Spencer Rattler a chance? If you do that, again, you have the weapons. You saw what Cincinnati did to Arkansas secondary. The Gamecocks have most certainly got the weapons to make it happen. So, I go into this one, I'll say this. I go into this one really excited for the opportunity because here's the thing. Season openers are weird. They're funky. We all know. You never know what you're going to get. As Shane Beamer said, you don't have preseason scrimmages or games or what have you against other opponents, at least. So you never know what you're going to get. And it doesn't mean just because you did this in week 1, you're going to do this in week 2. So we'll learn a lot about this football team this weekend. It's a great challenge. It's a great opportunity. I go into it with cautious optimism, which I guess is the definition of being a Gamecock fan to begin with. But I think the opportunities are there, but it's just we know what has to improve and has to get better to have any shot in this game. It's a big game for both sides. Let's not just sell it as a big game for Carolina. I mean, if Arkansas is going to have the type of year they want, you got people like, our buddy Brad Crawford and others picking them to go 10-2 this year. Well, if they're going to go 10-2 or hit any type of those preseason expectations, protecting your home field in a game you're favored by almost double digits, it's a big game for Arkansas, one they need to take care of business. So a lot at stake for both sides. both programs again are in similar positions on that upward trajectory, trying to reach the next level. So it's a big ball game. But hey, this is why you love being a fan. This is why you come to these respective schools. You want to play in games like this. So should be a lot of fun. Again, if the Gamecocks can hold their own on the line of scrimmage, they have a chance. But they've got to do that to have any chance in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think, and hey, if you're, I know you said you weren't predicting the same score, but if you predict that 31-24 Arkansas, and you were right, Arkansas will have won both opening games 31-24 exactly. So that would be weird.
That was my. I'll tell you this though, that was my over the summer prediction, but my over the summer prediction for Georgia State was 34-14, and I'd be damned it wasn't pretty close. So I think it'll be lower scoring. I've locked in the under 53. I think it'll be lower scoring. I think there will be an emphasis on the run game yet again. I will tell you guys this. It's just so hard for me to predict like this offensive explosion going from week 1 to week 2. And I understand, man, the coaching staff, everybody's been so complimentary of Georgia State, and they deserve it. Give them all the credit. But it's like, on the other hand, I'm like, Arkansas is better than Georgia State. So we better raise the bar quickly. You know what I mean? Like, so I understand they presented different challenges, but it ain't getting easier, right? So it's bring your lunch pail and go to work and get nasty up front. You're gonna have to do it. So
exactly. Big challenge for the Gamecocks. All right, Chris, thank you, and I'll talk to you here in a little bit. And have a great show today. We always appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, JC, Phil, appreciate you guys, and JC, we will talk to you soon, my friend. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.
All right, Chris Phillips from the Spurs Up Show. He joins us every Thursday, or every week. We sometimes move him around. Dude, the Nana's Porch chat box
it's all over the place.
Out of control.
It's all over the place.
It's out of control. You've got oh man, somebody's in here drinking Budweiser and vodka already today.
Yeah, that's a little early for that.
This guy's been like he's asking about Lavoisier Carroll. Eric says, and Eric's having fun today. Lavoisier Carroll didn't get any touches at running back. He's like fourth string, but he had a really good preseason.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to need Lavoisier Carroll next year, maybe this year. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that you can blame the backs for the lack of rushing yardage the other night a little bit.
Yeah.
And so there was probably no need to put him in. I think running back, the guy I'm looking forward to seeing, Phil, is Rashad Amos when he gets in the game, because I thought he was very productive in the spring game. He got the punt return for the touchdown on the block the other day.
And we've seen him have moments in the past too. I mean, in
2020 he was pretty good. Austin says the perimeter blocking was atrocious. It's true. Travis says this was my point about the guards. If our guards can't pull all the way to the other side of the line in a hurry, and our wide receivers aren't very good at blocking, maybe there's some plays we shouldn't be running. I think the guard thing, I agree on the guard thing, obviously. Do I think that you in college you have to design an offense around blocking wide receivers when you got guys that can catch and go make plays? No. I will say this, in fairness to receivers blocking and perimeter blocking, every offensive scheme in the country requires it. So
you have to improve there. Yeah,
I don't know this. That has to get better. I mean, even Coach Spurrier ran those little screens out there, 8 to 10 yards. Oh, shoot, we're just going to run a little screen and see if we can go. That kind of thing. Daddy O says his card has Cox plus 10, taking the points. Cocky Twan says, I picked the Gamecocks, but our O-line is a trash can water. Man, I had to empty a trash can, the outside trash can. I don't know what kind of liquid is down in the bottom of that.
So, you don't want to, right? Yeah.
It was the most repugnant thing. I just don't know. I don't know. VJ says Amos could give us something similar to Christian Bill Smith on short yardage. I agree.
Yeah.
And then Eric says, Chris, as the Budweiser vodka party at Eric's house continues, Chris, I got to disagree. We will win because I love the Gamecocks. Hey, that's good enough for everybody. Oh, Austin reminds everybody, Deke Adams, who was probably one of the least successful assistants here ever? Man, I watched this guy coach, right? So in their last year, Spurrier's big idea was not to fire anybody, right? And just shuffle the staff and bring in John Hoke and make Lorenzo Ward, who's never coached D-line in his life, coach the D-line with Deke Adams. And so practices were always open under Spurrier. So I got to watch Brad Lawing coach, right? And Brad, when he coaches D-line, it's all constant movement. I mean, you almost think these guys are about to throw up because they're just moving. And I look down, and it's the spring of 2015, and that's when I kind of figured out, because the Gamecocks had gotten some good D-line recruits, like out of junior college and stuff, so they thought they'd be better. And I'm looking and I'm watching them practice, and it's like the slowest, like slower than owl poop kind of coaching thing. And I'm like, man, these guys, I mean, and this is why between 2012 and 2013, the defensive front went from being elite to being suspect, even with Clowney. Yeah. And then in 14, the bottom just fell out. So, and then Deke hadn't been all that good anywhere else he's been, and I'm not trashing the guy. I'm just curious as to, I mean, maybe at Arkansas, that's the great redeeming spot.
I think Barry Odom trumps that.
Well, Barry's good. You mean Dave Odom, Phil? No.
If only Dave Odom were the defensive coordinator.
I would love it if Dave Odom were coach. And he was good at defense. If he was their offensive coordinator, I'd be like, they're going to shut him out. Go Hogs 1992. I want to mention this because a lot of you Arkansas folks have infiltrated our YouTube page and watched Trey's video, and rightfully so.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thanks.
And they've left a lot of nice messages. So go Hogs 1992. Phil put this up. Hog fan here. Enjoy the game. Enjoy your show. Expecting a good game. Thank you. I've always liked the Razorbacks. Even with they've always been a pain in Carolina's butt over the years, especially early on in the SEC. But man, oh man, they I know Trey. Have like 2 or 3 more friends that are Arkansas people, good folks. If you're heading out to Fayetteville, be sure to go watch Trey's travel guide. He's going to give you like restaurants, nightlife, cultural activities, whatever. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. But yeah, thank you, Arkansas. Go Hogs 1992. I appreciate you popping in here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. All right, we're overdue for a break, Phil.
Yes, sir.
A reminder that this show is presented by Manscaped. You go to manscaped.com, use promo code BIGSPUR, 20% off worldwide shipping. Promo code BIGSPUR. It helps us if you go buy some Manscaped products. It really does. If you want to know how to support the show, that that's the way to do it. Buy some of the deodorant, the ear trimmers. If you don't want to go the whole 9 yards with the lawnmower, the weed whacker's awesome.
That's right. And performance package. Yep.
Yeah, the performance package is amazing. So we love Manscaped here, and it's kind of funny. But
on the shirt today.
I saw it. I have on purple rain. Yeah, that's my thing. All right, so big time bullish Namzi Rebel says South Carolina versus Arkansas. Gamecocks lead 37-22. I think that's in baseball. Just Arkansas leads the series in football 13-10. Gamecocks have won the last 3 by a combined score of like 138-49.
Yeah, and it's a streaky series.
It is definitely. All right, so we're overdue for a break. Nana's Porch Chat Boxers. We're going to get all in with you guys in the second hour. Totally interactive. We'll also get to the I Help Consulting mailbag. And we'll talk with Phil. Phil and I will talk about the keys to this game this weekend. Tomorrow, Phil, who do we have on the show?
Oh, I just drew a blank. Michael Flint's coming on. Yeah, we got Wando.
I got Wando back on to break everything down for us tomorrow. So thanks again to G.A. Mangus and Chris Phillips for joining this first hour. First hour is presented by Cindy Searfoss Realtors, Caldwell Baker Kane in the upstate. I didn't mention that at the beginning. No poll because GA came in earlier than expected. Yeah. So no poll. Nothing, just right off the bat. But figured you guys would get a lot more out of listening to him than listening to us. But we'll be back in the second hour right here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show, after these messages.
If you're a listener, you know I feel strongly that if you're in the upstate and are in need of real estate services, Cindy Searfoss is your go-to person. Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane can help you with any of your realty needs right there in the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Oconee, Pickens, wherever you are. Cindy can help you with that. She's married to a diehard Gamecock fan, has been in the upstate for more than 35 years. Right there in my hometown of Spartanburg, Daniel Morgan Avenue. Contact Cindy, 864-414-5271, or email csearfoss, CSEARFOSS, at cbcaine.com, CBCAINE. That's Cindy Searfoss, a proud sponsor of the Inside the Gamecocks podcast. Check her out. We've already gotten several emails from listeners that are very impressed with her professionalism and her ability to help you with your real estate needs. 864-414-5271, Cindy Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Hey, man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com. Hey, folks, JC here. I've told you about Nana's Porch over and over again. They sponsor our chat box on the show. Don't take my word for it, though. I wanted you to hear from Gamecock pitcher Noah Hall about our sponsor, Nana's Porch. nanasporch.com. Go there, food truck, catering, whatever you need. Take it away, Noah.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is pitcher Noah Hall. If you want some delicious food for your event, I suggest visiting nanasporch.com today to find out what they all have to offer. It's really good Southern cuisine based out of Charlotte, my hometown. I hope you guys go check it out. Go Cox and go Nanas.
What's up? This is Jaheim Bell with the Gamecocks, and you're now listening to Inside the Gamecocks show with JC and Phil.
Thank you, Jaheim.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here. Hour number 2 of Inside the Gamecocks, the show brought to you by the Burgesson team, RE/MAX by the Lake, commercial realtors. So go to Cindy for your residential needs in the upstate, and then throughout the state, the great state of South Carolina. You can go to the Burgesson team for commercial needs and all that. Also, Meredith Taylor, thanks to her for sponsoring the guest line. It's the Meredith Taylor guest line. Be sure to check out, her golfing school. That's another reason why she's taking a hiatus. She's working on her online course. So if you're out of state and you need golf tips, be sure to patronize her services. I think she definitely knows what she's doing. Obviously, more than we do. I'm probably going to sign up myself, to be honest. All right, Nana's Porch chat box. Travis, how do y'all feel about our chances of blocking well enough to buy Rattler 3 seconds to get the ball out? I feel like that's all the time he needs to carve up their secondary. We'll see. Well, just like South Carolina can get better in certain areas, Arkansas can get better in the secondary too. Now they do have injuries, but I'll remind everybody the Hogs did a great job in the portal, right?
Right. Yeah.
Getting guys with and like GA mentioned earlier, with SEC experience. I think that there's something to be said for that early on in a player's career or first season in the league. You kind of get there and you're like, wow. Jalen Brooks took 3 years, but that's fine,
Right.
But guys like Juice Wells may have some adjustment right away in this game, and then get running. I don't think this is not saying that Shane Beamer and his staff need to stop recruiting guys from FCS and G5 out of the portal, because I totally disagree with that. But there is an adjustment to be made, and the guys they have in the secondary, like Breeny. I mean, he played for Georgia last year, started 12 games for the Dogs on a national championship level, one of the historically best defenses in the country. Still, there's a reason he probably wasn't starting. And still, Catalan is an elite talent. No question about it. So,
probably a first rounder.
Yeah, there will be some drop off, but I do think that, I do think there could be some opportunity down the field. But they do have to, the coaching staff's aware of how to attack Arkansas. And, like GA said earlier, you can't just let them sit back and try to pick them apart when they're dropping 8. You have to show you can run the ball against this defense. And so that's going to be important as well. Do you run it right at them? Are they quick enough to beat you to the edge? There's a perimeter blocking that you got to get done, all kinds of stuff, Phil. But blocking in general, I think that's the theme of this weekend, or the Saturday's game. Block,
yeah.
BLOCK.
Yep.
Block.
There should be a big block print in.
I'll also say this, Travis, to your point too about the Razorbacks. They hit the portal hard for some D linemen. And a lot of talented guys. Landon Jackson's good. You got Drew Sanders, an outside linebacker that's of terror. Terry Hampton from Arkansas State, I really like. But these are new players too. I mean, they're not guys that went through the SEC schedule last year or whatever. And so, South Carolina, again, I'll say it again, they have veteran offensive linemen that have played in so many games. You expect them to get up and block some, Phil, right?
Yeah, you do have that expectation. And I think, I know it's game 2, but from my perspective, this is more like a 1A, 1B kind of situation. And that this is, now you're out of your own home, you're on the road, you're facing an entirely different defensive animal. Speed was what they were killing us with last week. While this defense still has the speed and the ability, I think it's going to come at you a little different. Just the way they draw it up and the way that they typically go at you, even though, is it going to be 3-3-5 or is it going to be, who knows what it's going to look like? 3-2-6, who knows? But
Odom's good at scheming teams up. Like I remember the 2020 season. It was Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss and Matt Corral. They went to play Arkansas and they hadn't lost. Nobody would argue they had a great offense that season. And Corral threw 6 interceptions against these guys.
Yeah, I know. And I think one thing we need to caution ourselves on, and hopefully I'm sure the coaching staff is thinking all this through, beyond what we think it through. But, okay, if you're having problems blocking up front, you roll your quarterback out, and just get him mobile. And since, Spencer is effective that way, but, they saw that too. And they're going to be able to defend against that. And I think that's going to be part of their game plan, just because it looks like the path of least resistance for us. If they do not have confidence in the offensive line, the game plan will look an awful lot like a very mobile Rattler, and I don't think that's going to last for longer than a half because they're going to figure that out quick.
Yeah, definitely. I think that their plan is going to be to put pressure on Rattler, keep him in the pocket.
Yeah,
don't let him escape, and then that's sometimes that's easier said than done, but it all gets back to blocking. Didn't want to mention this, Dabo Swinney.
Oh God!
A little Dabo news today.
I can only imagine.
Dabo signs a new contract, and I think, I don't know. I don't know if this is why they keep putting this in his contract, right? So the term sheet of his deal, termination by Clemson without cause, because it's $111 million deal, $11.5 million a year, right? $64 million buyout this year, $60 million the next 2 years, and $57 million the year after that. But this is interesting, Phil. There are penalties on Swinney should he leave for the Alabama job. Specifically, they put this in the contract between now and 2030. He'd owe Clemson $9 million, 7.5, and the amount decreases annually. If you leave for any other school, the buyout's 6 and 5. So I don't know, man. If I'm Clemson, I don't even know that I'm putting it in there, right?
Right.
Because I don't. If you're paying Dabo this much, and he's already been making a ton of money, he's not a poor guy, right?
Right.
And Dabo leaves, that extra, 1 point whatever, or 3 million or whatever, that's a drop in the bucket. And the University of Alabama can write a check for that.
Right. Without hesitating, they would write a check.
Yes, I don't know. But,
don't worry, we'll pay the buyout. Yeah.
So Dabo's got a new deal, and it's a big time, $11.5 million a year, man. I should have gone into coaching. Bill, we need to go back in time. When we're sitting there partying at your wife's apartment back in the day. It was then his girlfriend. And we need to I got to go back to have a talk with the old Phil and old JC and be like, guys, go into coaching. Right.
Just start now.
My goodness gracious. I mean, even bad coaches make a lot of money, as we well know.
That's right. You don't have to be good.
Continuing on the Nana Sports chat box, Carl says Arkansas has a linebacker at quarterback, and South Carolina has the most NFL-ready quarterback in the country. I don't know about that. NFL-ready.
And the word most, I think, and
I think KJ Jefferson has shedded the linebacker.
His arm talent.
He's
fills that script. Yeah,
he's gotten better. And Austin disagrees with Carl. Austin says he's not Cam Newton, but just because he's big doesn't mean he can't throw the ball. That's true. Lance says, so do we feel this offense has more in it, or are we treading water again? Time will tell, Lance.
Yeah, we'll see.
Time will tell. Tactician says, I agree. Georgia State's defense is not as good as Arkansas's, but it's such a different style. It's like playing triple option, different from most Power 5 teams, but they're so strange to play. They make many of those Power 5 schools look bad. Yeah, and look, I went back and looked at the stat line. Auburn had trouble running the ball against this group last year. In 2019, Tennessee, with a lot of future NFL players on its offensive line, could not get the run game going at all in that football game. So that's the deal there. Tactician adds, adding my last point, one of the things Georgia State does that many teams are not good at is refusing to be blocked. That could be a reason our blocking was so horrible in that game. That's true. Travis says, LOL, BLOCK. Thanks a lot for answering my questions, Date JC. Got to run outside now, but love your show and your site where I post is Callie Trav. Yeah, Callie. Callie Trav lives in Los Angeles, California. He's a member of the Big Spur and certainly a valued listener here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Tim says Dabo is a legend in his own mind. And in Pickens County, and part of Greenville County, and Anderson and Oconee.
Oconee, yeah. Oh, yeah. Some of that North Georgia area, too.
Yeah.
He's infiltrated that.
Yeah, that's technically dog country over there, but, once you cross the border. But Hartwell has some Clemson fans.
Oh, yeah.
Almost messed up there. VJ says, is it a fair statement to say that run-heavy teams tend to have better run defenses? As that is what they see in practice. I don't know. Like Mississippi State's run defense is really good. I doubt they practice much against the run at all. I think it just kind of depends on.
Their run game relies on the element of surprise.
Yeah, I remember they had he ended up opting out in 2020, but they had an all SEC running back coming back, and they beat LSU that first game, Phil. But he only got like 4 carries.
I know. What about them going to Arizona this week? What?
Yeah, that's a weird schedule. But he caught like 12 passes for 185 yards. So it was kind of weird. But no, Arizona, that's a weird road game. And I'll tell you this, Arizona looked pretty good.
Yeah, a lot better than they did last year.
It's not easy to beat San Diego State. San Diego State loves to beat porous Pac-12 teams. They get up. That's their Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And Arizona won. And, there's, believe it or not, Jed Fish, which I thought was just a brutally bad hire. He's recruited pretty well out there so far. And Wildcat fans are fired up, So they'll get Mississippi State this weekend out in Tucson. Not an easy place to go and play a game if you're the Bulldogs. But, I think Mike Leach is probably pretty used to going to Tucson when, I was Washington State. And, but that should be a heck of a game. And we're going to find out. Mississippi State with a tough road test. VJ says, I saw a ton of run blitzes versus Georgia State on passing downs, making it difficult for Rattler to step up and for the running back to be available for dump offs. Yeah, it's what's called I think they're running fire blitzes. That's kind of a run. That's a run blitz because it doesn't matter, passing down or whatever, that kind of thing. So, you absolutely good point there, VJ, on that. Better, a.k.a. Belmont.
Yeah.
Belmont. So, Austin says Clemson football will be the only sports team they have before long. I don't know how I missed it, man, because when I was a kid, Clemson won the national title in soccer, men's soccer.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize they'd won it last year. But
they did?
Yeah, dude. And, like back then, living in Spartanburg, you heard about, there were people flying car flags and stuff, so excited about it. But you didn't hear a word about it, really. It was like, hey, Clemson won the national title in soccer, men's soccer again. Nobody said peep about it.
Nope.
Colin says, I think it helps that Arkansas is not a blitzing team, plus a suspect secondary with injuries. What say you? Cincinnati's quarterback did miss several throws last week. Could have had more.
Yeah.
Jason does not have a positive feeling. He says this has the feeling of Tennessee last year. I feel like before the second quarter, this game will be out of reach. Man, if that happens, I think I'll be disappointed. Just to be honest. South Carolina's better than that. That game last year against Tennessee, they got boat raced, right? That's the definition of a boat racing. And I thought, obviously in that game, how you beat a team, Phil, that goes as fast as Tennessee, is with your offense. You establish the run, you keep them off the field, and you got to counter punch their momentum. Tennessee got off to a lead last year against everybody they played.
Yeah.
And Alcon was no different. Then you're down there on the 2, and we know what happened.
Yeah, and that's one of my keys to this game is don't lose this game in the first 2 possessions that Arkansas has, because you can.
Yeah.
If they go up and down the field on you, put 14 points on you, you're in a 14-point deficit, then it's just like Sam Pittman's just going to sit back and run the ball. And you're done.
Yeah, and that's what Arkansas will do. They'll bleed you to death once they get a lead. Yep. And then Mariota is going to be able to drop 8 because, you're going to have to start throwing it.
Yeah, because you're in a hole. Yeah.
And look, man, Carolina not once last year. Well, one game, Missouri, they got out to a good start at Missouri, got an early turnover, scored a touchdown, and then we're about to score again, and there was an unfortunate fumble. And then the next thing Missouri's up 17-7. Every other road game, East Carolina got up 14-0. Georgia, it was kind of like back and forth. Mm-hmm. Georgia got touchdowns, Carolina got field goals, and then the second quarter was where everything kind of went behind. They were still down 26-6 at the half. A&M, don't even get me started.
Oh God,
that was over before. You're looking up in the third quarter. Carolina's got 5 yards of offense.
Yeah.
And then Tennessee we mentioned as well. But yeah, you're right. Carolina on the road needs to start faster in games, and that will Jason avoid them. Getting like Tennessee last year, which was 45-20. And by the time the Gamecocks even scratched, they, I guess when they cut it to 38-20 in that one, had they hit the 2-pointer, you're down 2 scores then. And there was still enough time technically to get back. But that one was just like, after halftime, it was like watching a scrimmage, really.
Yeah.
Tactician says, like you, Jason, if Archie underestimates this team, they could pay big time. We aren't what we looked like last week. That much I believe is true. Are we good enough? We'll see. Eric says, am I the only one that thinks we will win? I think it's possible. I'm not conceding this game. I'm probably like Chris going to pick Arkansas to win because, just like Chris said, you got to go with what you see. in what you've seen so far. And what I've seen so far is, and kind of right now, living in the now, with the understanding that things can change in an instant in college football, and that's why we love it. Right now, I think Arkansas, winners of 10 of 14, won their season opener, looks solid doing it. South Carolina's got issues. You probably you'd have to really take a leap of faith to pick the Gamecocks. That's not to say they can't win, though, because that's one of the reasons I'm not a big predictions guy, because in every football game, there's a scenario. There's a if this, then this. Now, if this, then this. So, I mean, that's the bottom line. I do think one thing about the defense, I guess what Carolina had forced one turnover, two turnovers, two turnovers.
Was it one? I thought one interception late.
One interception late. They stopped them on downs early.
Yeah, turnover on downs. Yeah.
It would be beneficial for Carolina to crank up the turnover machine again. But as we all know, sometimes, last year they forced a ton of turnovers. This year, it kind of comes in waves, so you can't count on it. But definitely that'll do it. That'll help. That always helps on the rim. Quantrell says, hope we use the tight ends vertically in the passing game this week. We have 2 NFL tight ends. Use them.
I agree,
Quantrell.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I kind of like it when Jaheim gets carries and they use him in different ways, I mean, I think he's a vertical threat, and so is Austin Stogner.
I was not inspired by Satterfield's response to the question about, how many carries Jaheim's going to get. He was like, well, we need to get the ball in his hands, and there's just a lot of less factors if you just hand it to him. It's like, you're not confident to get it to him in the air. I don't like that. That was the one thing from the press conferences that really gave me pause this week.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I'll say this too, Phil, and so when you're talking about play calling, I'll remind everyone that, the essence of play calling is, when the defense gives you a certain look, you have plays lined up to counter that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they have to get the right look to run it. But that pass, it was the second Jaheim touchdown in the bowl. It's an RPO, I think, and Zeb threw it. If they get that look, I mean, because they also ran it another time at East Carolina, and Zeb just one hop the pass or threw a pick or something. But Jaheim would have scored then too.
Mm-hmm.
So if they get the right look, I wouldn't mind seeing them bust that one out, because Rattler obviously is going to be able to hit that pass pretty well. Austin says we haven't won 2 games in a row since Eastern Illinois and East Carolina at the beginning of last season. We need to end that streak. Agreed.
Yes.
Tactician says want to start fast. Then you have to start quick passes, several of them in a row, not running the ball up the middle on first down each time. I thought the other day they did a pretty good job of throwing on first down. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking wrongly on that. I'd have to go back and look at the stat sheet. Okay. Hour number 2, Inside the Gamecocks, the show continues on, brought to you by the Burgess and team at Remax at the Lake. Thanks to G.A. Mangus and Chris Phillips for coming on earlier. Michael Flint tomorrow with final predictions as we bring you into the weekend. Those of you I've seen on social media, those of you that are traveling to Fayetteville today, and I've seen several, tweets and Facebook posts, hey, heading to hog heaven or whatever. Please travel safe, and please try not to commit homicide in the airport, because last time I traveled, I've traveled a bunch for work, but I'm not used to it. I don't have my sea legs like I used to, right? So a few weeks back, I had to go to Columbia for something. So I flew into Charlotte from Chi-Town, and it was the most miserable experience I've ever had.
Oh, gosh.
And I've been to Disney with kids in July. Okay? So miserable, total misery. So y'all be safe and be polite to your flight attendants.
That's right. Yeah.
The nice people that are at the Fayetteville airport or wherever you're flying out to. But anyway, be safe, those of you that are traveling out there. We're going to come back and wrap up final half hour of the show. More from the Nana's Porch chat box. We're having fun with that. More from the, I think we got some mailbag questions. So I will check that.
Stuff. Yeah.
Some Twitter stuff too. And so we'll answer those really quickly right here on the show. We'll be back after these messages.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Attention golfers of all ages and skill sets. Former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor will be a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina very, very soon. You want to take advantage of this opportunity. If you're like me and you got to get a whole lot better at golf, or even if you're looking to refine your swing, Meredith is the person you need to go to. She's competing in her final USGA Mid-Amateur Tournament this summer before going full-time into teaching and coaching individuals. If you're in South Carolina, Meredith will be conducting in-person golf lessons at the Country Club of Lexington, hour on course. She'll play 9 or 18 with you. If you're out of state, though, this is really exciting. She'll be conducting virtual lessons. You can send in your swing for her expert analysis. Also, in November, she'll launch an online course with video instruction for all ages and skill levels. Meredith has 20-plus years of knowledge, former SEC golfer, all of that. So contact her on Twitter at MerTaylor, at MERTAYLOR, or go to McKellarEnterprises.org. McKellar spelled MCKELLAR, Enterprises.org. Her email's on the website, so you can connect with her for any other questions. Go get your golf game in order. Take advantage of Meredith Taylor and her services.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Hey, folks, JC here. I've told you about Nana's Porch over and over again. They sponsor our chat box on the show. Don't take my word for it, though. I wanted you to hear from Gamecock pitcher Noah Hall about our sponsor, Nana's Porch. Nana'sPorch.com. Go there. Food truck, catering, whatever you need. Take it away, Noah.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is pitcher Noah Hall. If you want some delicious food for your event, I suggest visiting Nana'sPorch.com today to find out what they all have to offer. It's really good Southern cuisine based out of Charlotte, my hometown. I hope you guys go check it out. Go Cox and go Nanas.
Hey, man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com, a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show. I used to be president of the United States, and I love the show with Phil and JC. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks.
Appreciate all that. Inside the Gamecocks, the show rolls on a Thursday. Thank you all for joining us. Phil, when you look at this game, it's one, I guess when you're looking at the schedule and you're like, wow, Arkansas, here they come right when they're getting good again. Yeah. It sort of just stands out as, hey, gosh, this freaking rotating West schedule never does the Gamecocks any favors. I I think it's probably a little better than going to like Ole Miss this year, probably. Although I don't know that I was super impressed with their offense against Troy. Or, you know, I think it's better than going to Mississippi State and having to deal with the Pirate, right? Dialing them up on you.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's, you know, it's not, you know, it's not a terrible matchup for the Gamecocks if, you know, they can move the ball on offense, take advantage of the Arkansas secondary. And also, I think defensively, Phil, that's probably the key to the game. I wrote yesterday, South Carolina's defense on the road in SEC games last year was just a paper tiger, especially against the run.
Oh yeah.
So I think this is a chance for the Carolina defense and the linebackers and, you know, all the improved parts of that side of the ball to step up and kind of show the country and the league and whoever else that, you know, this defense, yes, they had a good year last year, forcing turnovers. It was certainly better than the offense, but that they're about to take the next level because I always say this. I can't remember a time South Carolina had a really good team. Not, you know, that means better than 7-6, right? Which is kind of the average without having a very good defense. I mean, that's going back to Lou Holtz. Brad Scott's one or two good teams. he didn't have much defense during his time, but all the way back to like the Fire Ants and Black Death in 1987.
Right.
Carolina's best teams have always come. All the Spurs teams had really good defenses when they've had good defense.
Yeah, and that made me feel really confident about the team overall. Watching it last week, and that, you know, aside from right at the beginning of the game and then there at the end getting gashed for some runs, but the defense overall looked faster, looked better prepared. And that's the one. Defense and special teams are the one thing, JC, that I think are the two things that are keeping me in the realm of we could win this game, right? You know, from what we saw, was like if we do the right things on defense and special teams, then we've got a chance. And that's why I'm thinking the game's going to be close. I like the under. I think we'll cover at least, and you know, you never know. Hell, I may convince myself we're going to win this damn thing for tomorrow.
hey, Daddy O is right there with you on Banana Sports chat box. He says Carolina 37, Hogs 24.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of cool. And he also says Todd's going to run out of booms on Saturday.
Let's hope.
Oh, trucker! You know, hey, there used to be a hockey play-by-play guy. I think it was the Florida Panthers in Miami, and every time they would score, he would have a movie quote. He'd be like, and he scores, Mom, the meatloaf.
Oh yeah, I've heard some of those clips. Yeah.
Awesome, you know, what's in the box, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Todd, that'd be cool for him to incorporate into some
throw in some stuff.
Yeah, you know, or maybe it's like song titles, you know, like classic rock song titles. And Gamecock scores like touchdown Carolina, touchdown Jaheim Bell, live and let die. or maybe it's like 80s rock lyrics, you know, oh, rather caught by Wells, touchdown Carolina, touchdown Juice Wells, I'll be there for you.
Get one on defense, touchdown Carolina, roll with the changes.
Pour some sugar on me. Oh.
No, that's the best one. That's
the best. Old Larry Munson, you know, he didn't say pour some sugar on me, but with Georgia's going to Sugar Bowl back in the 80s. He's like, look at the sugar falling from the sky. You know. But Daddy O, I think we all hope Todd runs out of booms on Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt.
Brian says, afternoon, fellas. Past 2 days have been super busy. Couldn't get into the start, but I'm rewinding to the start now. Go Cox. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
All of you loyal listeners out there. Okay, I Help Consulting mailbag. I Help Consulting. How can I help you? I think we have some. Pastor did give a shout out to Mangus. He said, excited to hear from G.A. Mangus on the Big Spur pod. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't see this beforehand. I would have asked him. Would love to hear his thoughts on preparing for an SEC road game from a coach's perspective. What are the biggest non-negotiable pieces of getting ready for that caliber of a game? I think it's just preparation and understanding. That's why young teams don't do well on the road most of the time. Even if you're like Alabama or somebody, it doesn't matter how talented you are. If you're inexperienced, that stuff can get to you. That's one of the concerns I do have about Rattler going into that environment. Okay. I think that, when you look at his 2020 season at Oklahoma, Phil, people forget this. There were no fans. I mean, at most you had 10,000 in the stands that year. And I think that's one of the reasons nobody played defense that year because, the crowd noise impacts an offense, right? And when you don't have crowd noise, it's a little bit easier to get your signals in and communication-wise, you're there and you move it up and down the field. So I think that's one of the reasons that there were bad defenses across college football that year. There were no fans in the stands, right? So Rattler went through that year in the Big 12, and then last year, I mean, I'm sure he's been in the stadiums, and there are good environments in that league, similar to Arkansas. But going in there and playing quarterback all of a sudden for really the first time in his college career as a starter in that environment, that's not something he's faced before, Phil.
No, you definitely have to account for that mentally. And I think, as good as Arkansas's environment is down there in Fayetteville, it's not going to be anything like what they experienced this past Saturday. Even though it is going to be hostile, but it's not going to be Williams-Brice at night.
No, and look, shout out again to all the Gamecock fans for rocking and rolling that. That was one of the even if you took away the new lighting and new sound and all the bells and whistles, that was a tremendous environment.
Yeah, just having almost 80,000 people there. Period.
I mean, that's tremendous. And and I don't know if last year was because of COVID or the Gamecocks kind of had one game and then they went on the road and the offense started struggling. They went East Carolina, Georgia back to back. By the time they got back home, Kentucky had a decent sized crowd. I was there. It was still kind of empty in East Upper, but after those games when they couldn't score, I think people were just like, "Oh, here we go again." I also think, last year is kind of at the tail end of COVID and stuff, and there were some people that just naturally stayed away. But the crowd came back in full force last Saturday night.
Did you see Welcome Home yesterday? Did you catch the episode of Welcome Home on ESPNU?
I actually did not.
I caught it this morning. It was good. It was actually game one.
Oh, okay,
cool. It's like different perspectives of what it looked like, and you could really see how well we showed out.
Yeah, and I think for as much crap, and some of us, a lot of us deserve, as the game day operations department at Carolina has gotten over the years. I think there was a lot of work put in, a lot of foresight that went into it, a lot of creativity that went into it, and I think they nailed it. I really did. I thought South Carolina. Kudos to Ray Tanner, Chance Miller, the administration, the game day operations, Eric. If you just name it, name everybody there because they had a great job, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it evolves. I mean, I guess the lights won't be. You won't really see all that against Georgia next weekend at noon, but the sun will be the brightest light in the sky. But,
damn near it up here.
Daddy O has another good Todd Ellis, like, no more Mr. Nice Guy.
I like that one, yeah.
That's some funny stuff. And Tim goes, you mean you don't want hug and kiss the ones you love? Touchdown, Carolina. Well, Charlie Mack, at least, I mean, and this is one of the reasons there's Todd Ellis now, because Charlie Mack was a pro announcer, came in from Vandy, I think, a Nashville guy, took the play-by-play job at Carolina, and he started out with put a Garnet 6 on it.
Put a Garnet 6 on it.
Put a Garnet 6 on it. It's touchdown Carolina, and then everybody's like, in fairness, he had a tough job. He followed Bob Fulton. I mean,
yeah.
And so, and then I think when, like right before Lou at the end of Brad Scott, it was kiss and hug the ones you love. It's touchdown Carolina. So you go from the Garnet 6 to kiss and hug the ones you love. It's touchdown Carolina. So I don't know. I didn't like either one of them. And the team was bad then, and so it's like you can stick your Garnet 6.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Or what, so Anyway, Colin says the third down rooster call was my only complaint. If you want to call it that, would turn it down a slight notch just because we hear it 100 times in the fourth quarter. Yeah. And that's fair, Colin. That's a fair thing. I as I've gotten older, loud noises bother me.
Right.
So, Austin has a prediction in from the Nana Sports chat box. 27-24 Gamecocks. Mitch Jeter hits another 50-yarder for the walk-off win.
Yeah, and when I say special teams, that's what I'm really thinking about is Mitch Jeter and Kai Kroger. You can't count on block punts and stuff like that this week, but but a good long kick, 80-yard punt, stuff like that. That's gonna help.
Yeah, it's I agree, and not to do a Muschampism, but the vertical field position. He used to talk about the vertical field position.
Vertical field position.
So you hit a 40, 50-yard punt, and Kai had a 79-yarder, right?
Yeah.
That can help. That's good. Helps your defense. Helps your offense when they ultimately get the ball back and all that good stuff. South Carolina Gamecock man says, "Are you kidding me?" He says Charlie Mack was SCSD Higgs says Charlie Mack was awful. Todd is an upgrade. I would have to agree there.
Yeah.
And again, Charlie Mack had a tough job. You follow Bob Fulton. Nobody's going to like you. I mean, that's like that's ridiculous. It's like he was like the Ron Zook of, Ron Zook followed Spurrier at Florida. He's like the Ron Zook of Carolina announcers. So, but yeah, kiss and hug the ones you love. So John says a buddy of his from up here in the Pacific Northwest who works in higher ed athletics was on a trip and took in the game at Williams-Brice last weekend. He said it was the most intense atmosphere he had ever seen, and he's been to Final Fours and national championship games in other sports. A lot of people from the outside, when they go to Williams-Brice, Phil, they're very impressed. So
it is the definition of a hostile road environment.
Yes, and it's back. It's back. I mean, COVID years and the Muschamp era, things happen. There are games that wasn't quite as good, but man, it's back now, and it's unreal. So that was an awesome thing. Daddy O says he believes it's essential that Carolina's defense forces multiple turnovers Saturday. We must eliminate turning it over. Yeah, you can't turn it over on the road, man.
Yep. Yeah, you got to protect the ball.
Got to protect the ball. There's no question about it. So that's the deal there. Andy Demetra would have been the best option.
I thought it was interesting that we let him go. Although he got to do everything at Georgia Tech. I get that, but I didn't mind listening to Andy going basketball calls. But I know what your head's at, and I agree with you on where you. I agree with you there. Yeah, shouldn't have let that one get away.
It's probably personal to me, so I get it. And I think Brad does it. Or who's the basketball play-by-play guy? Is it Brad? It's not Brad Mueller. It's
oh gosh, I
can't believe I can't. Right now. See, I don't. Every basketball game's on SEC Network, so I usually watch it on SEC Network. But Derek Scott.
Derek Scott. Derek Scott.
Mm-hmm. Derek Scott is a pro. He does a great job. He's tremendous. I think he is a outstanding, basketball play-by-play guy. And I liked him probably better than Demetra. I just, Demetra. It was like I remember one basketball game. Carolina upset Kentucky, and he was like, "Let the upset begin." I was like, "What?" And
it just commenced.
Mike Patrick called the College World Series hit, right? And that's kind of the famous line drive by field base hit. South Carolina's going to win the College World Series. Well, Demetra's call is just like, and the game is over. The wait is over. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overly critical. I don't know. I got a suggestion today, Phil, that we start coordinating our outfits like the Cleveland Indians broadcast crew, Harry Doyle and Marty. As the season went along, they were like, by the end of it, they both had like tuxedos on at the end of the playoffs. I think if we start the Gamecocks start winning, like we'll get to that Clemson game, we'll both have tuxedo T-shirts on.
Nice.
I like to That may be Ricky Bobby. I like to picture Jesus in a tuxedo T-shirt because it's classy.
It's classy, yeah.
And he's lead singer for Leonard Skinner. Man. All right, man. The sports chat box is all called up. If I did have a poll today, I would have probably, and I'll probably do it tomorrow, I would have gone Spencer Rattler touchdown passes over under 2.5, Phil, for the game.
I hate that the theme for this week is believe it when you see it.
Yeah, I hate it too.
It stinks.
Too,
you just gotta. I don't know. I don't know. It's you know what? It's going to be a hell of a game, and they're going to play their asses off.
Drew actually asked. He said over.
I could see it. I mean, I could see it.
Daddy O says since they're scoring 37, he's going.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there you go, Daddy O.
And I think too. With that, Tim asked, "Whatever happened to Don Williams? He was always under the goalpost during the field goals." Yeah, Don was good.
Mm-hmm.
They take it down to Don Williams, and he was also the color analyst for basketball with Bob Fulton. Yeah. Bob Fulton, Don Williams here at the Carolina Coliseum. That was pretty good. That was a pretty good Bob Fulton right there.
Not bad.
Not bad. Queasy says no. Spencer Rattler interceptions over under 2. I'm going under.
Yeah, I've got to go under.
I could see him throwing 1. I mean, he's going to throw some. Okay, I mean because that's just quarterbacks that have that kind of arm talent, man. They trust it bigly. Mm-hmm. So he's going to throw 1. I don't. You just got to bounce back from it, and obviously, interceptions are bad because unless you do them around midfield and then they're always going to hurt you because you're either inside the opponent's territory and you blow a scoring opportunity, or you put your defense in a bad position because you're inside territory. So hopefully not more than 1, in my opinion. Craig says, "Can we please run some screens Saturday?" Craig, they have to block perimeter. Yeah. You got to get it. Look, maybe personnel wise, you put Jaheim more out there or something, and all that. Quincy says, "Are you saying Todd Ellis's record is safe?" I think that record is going to outlast all of us.
Yeah,
everybody in the chat box, everybody listening, our kids, our kids. That record is never going to be broken. Nobody's even come close. And part of it's is that Todd played for 4 years, right? Most of 4 years.
Yeah.
At the end. And in fairness to him too, I mean, I think they ran run and shoot the first 2 years. That's going to lead to some picks, right? Especially with a guy like him that, he was kind of a gunslinger. And then he changed offenses again and then changed offenses again. So that's, in fairness to Todd and that record, but no, it'll never be broken. No. Never. Bradford, Jamie chimes in. JB, will be interested to see how much to get Rattler involved or more involved in the run game with the way Barry Odom calls his defense. That will be a big key to improving the run game. You make a great point, sir.
Yep.
We didn't really see a lot of design runs with Rattler except on the 2-pointer. Kind of running for his life, and so that was it there. The Rattler, the sophomore, he's doing a Bob Fulton. Does Arkansas still have an insanely fast backup quarterback that they're running plays with him? Yeah,
and not very many people are talking about him either, but he's there.
He's scary. Honest to goodness. When I was watching the Penn State bowl game last year against Arkansas, Jefferson got injured. Like it wasn't a major one, but he had to go out for a play. I think his helmet may have come off. Boy, they put Hornsby in there, and he just takes it around left tackle, and nobody touched him. I mean, it's one of the fastest players I've ever seen. So when he went in the portal, because he went in the portal for a spell and then came back, and so when he came back, I was like, that's not good for South Carolina. But yeah, he didn't do a whole lot this past weekend against Cincy, but he's so fast. That's a guy that he may not play but 4 plays, and he scored 2 touchdowns.
Right,
that's 14 points. But yes, Drew, he's still there. Austin says, "Thank you, Todd, for setting the bar so high." Virgo Bob, one of my buddies. Glad to see you here in the chat box, my friend. Asked me for my prediction. I'm going to give it tomorrow. But, like I said, there's a scenario where South Carolina can definitely go out there and win. They just have to execute and play well. Rack the Jipper says, which SEC East team is most comparable to the Arkansas program? I think historically, like in recent, South Carolina's probably there.
Mm-hmm.
But Arkansas's got more history. Like in the Southwest Conference, they won championships. South Carolina did not light up the ACC back when they were in that league. And obviously they were an independent for a while. But, I think, shoot, man, if I really had to think about it, it's not Kentucky because of the basketball element, but it's situated similarly to Kentucky in that it's the only school in that state. There's good football players in the state, but not a ton. So you have to hit Texas, you have to hit Louisiana, you have to go into Florida, that kind of thing. So Kentucky, maybe, I don't know. South Carolina is probably fair, but obviously University of Arkansas is in Northwest Arkansas, and South Carolina does not have the University of South Carolina in Northwestern South Carolina. There's another school there. So
there
it is. Meredith has dropped in to say she's on the golf course, but wanted to say hey to Gamecock Nation.
Hey, Meredith.
We hope you're shooting well. Dos Banditos says, I love listening to Tommy and Todd, the emotion and enthusiasm. Me too.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's
you can
funny
tell they love it. Yeah.
There's funny moments. And I would like, I would like to see the movie thing or the music thing. That would be awesome. Touchdown Carolina, touchdown Christian Bill Smith, don't fear the Reaper. Dude, I may be on to something there. I don't know.
I'd love to hear it on Saturday because then he's listening.
Yeah. Man, all right, let the good times roll.
Good times roll.
Smooth criminal. I don't know.
I'm starting to think of real weird things.
I'm like,
cash rules everything around me.
Eric says, JC Don Williams saying, Lord, I hope this day is good. Or is that just the Budweiser talking? Oh, man. There's another Don Williams out there, obviously, Eric. Eric's like, hey, guys, early in the show, if you guys missed it or you just tuned in, Eric's like got some Budweiser vodka drinks going right now on a Thursday morning. Which is fine. Hey, no judgment here at all.
No, hey, no.
Actually, day drinking is actually kind of fun. Yeah. Daddy O says, pour some sugar on me and all that good stuff. Anyway, wrapping up here inside the Gamecocks, the show. You can catch this obviously on Apple Podcast. You can, Google Play. I think we're on Spotify. It'll be up within probably an hour.
Yeah, we'll get it up quick as we can.
I get it up pretty quickly. Sometimes I'm a little delayed. Got to go on the Spurs Up show here in 15 minutes, so be sure to check out that if you want to. And we'll be back tomorrow with Michael Flint as we continue to preview South Carolina at Arkansas. SEC opener for both teams. Kickoff is at noon. Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville. So that should be a good venue on Saturday. Dorn just adds in, touchdown Carolina, I'm on the highway to hell. So with that, if you guys have any other, suggestions, let us know. And obviously we'll do it. Like good chat with everybody on the Nana Sports chat box today, the IHOP Consulting mailbag. We love your interaction here. We've got great guests. We love all our guests, but also love talking with you, Gamecock Nation. For Phil Mullinax, this is JC Sherbert. This has been Inside the Gamecocks, the show. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.